All right, okay, we're running in here late this morning. We got this beep going on behind us, and I didn't have time to cue the theme song. You were complaining, Gavin, that we didn't use the lyrics last week.
Yeah, I was expecting to hear you guys singing. If you haven't in the past, I think it's something we ought to start.
All right, okay. This is a show with no name. It's really a show with no name. If you want a show without a name, then this is a show with no name. Goes on from there about an old guy named Jim sitting next to me, but we haven't got time. This is the show with no name. I'm Bob Going with Jim Nikosha and Gavin Murdoch. Welcome back, Gavin.
Thank you, sir.
Feeling better?
Absolutely. Do you know how many times a day you swallow? Thousands and thousands.
You can tell when
you have to swallow and it hurts.
You were counting them, were you?
Oh. How long I could go between swallows.
Yeah.
So Dr. Diamond hooked me up with some good stuff and got rid of it.
The more you think about it, the more you swallow.
Wow. It's not good.
Well, we videoed the show last week.
I watched it.
I thought we'd do it again today. See how it works out. I got some complaints from YouTube, of course, because I played the 10 seconds of theme song at the beginning of the program. You don't own that. That belongs to whoever.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that's why we'll see if they recognize my singing.
Yeah.
That part they'll probably cut right out.
I don't know. We had Misha playing Londonderry Air on the bagpipes, which isn't even in the standard key because the bagpipe only has so many notes.
Correct.
It recognized it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a notice from somebody saying, or from YouTube saying, well, that's Danny Boy, you can't use that. I said, excuse me, this was Londonderry Air, found in the public domain in the 1700s and written down. I think we're okay. And they agreed. Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
There's always something that wants to rain on your parade.
That's right. So what's going on in the city? Common Council meeting tonight?
Common Council meeting tonight, and we've got a big controversy.
What's that?
Several vetoes.
Veto who?
Vetoes? No.
Oh.
Dandiano?
No, veto, I don't care.
Now, somebody said this morning there were 3 vetoes. I was only aware of 2.
There's 3. There's also the veto with designating the radio station or the newspaper as the local.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I think it was a newspaper.
There was a previous mayor who used to fool around like that. If he was mad at the recorder, he would try to pass a resolution designating the Gazette as the official newspaper. It's charged twice as much, or 4 times as much, or something like that. That's what utter nonsense. So she vetoed that. How stupid! Are you serious?
Yes, I am.
That is the stupidest thing.
And her rationale is the same thing that she's been touting for the past month or more. The reasons why she's vetoing it.
Now, what could be the reason other than she doesn't like their editorial policy?
Or at least the last editorial.
Or at least certainly the last editorial.
Well, she's claiming that they're not running efficiently, and if they do what the college kids.
Oh no, that's the golf course. We're talking about the
station, the media.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I just read it too, but it didn't make sense, so I just put it aside.
Okay.
So they got 3 of them tonight, and the part that I love is that they overrode the veto before the veto came out.
Well, that didn't happen. That isn't what happened. All they did was introduce a resolution to override the veto, which they knew was coming. Yeah. And they did it exactly the way they should have, because she was playing games. We discussed this on the podcast. She was playing games, waiting to the last second to issue her veto so there wouldn't be enough time for them to put it on the calendar without unanimous consent. And then she can say, well, look at you doing it again, doing things at the last minute on unanimous consent. When there's been 3 weeks since it passed. Ridiculous. ridiculous.
Wow. Yes, it is.
If you want to see more about this, watch the podcast from last Friday. A lot of people have, by the way. That was our biggest at-home podcast in some time. Yeah.
Well, you had a different background. I think that has something to do with it.
Well, let's see. What did we do this time? Well, yeah, we maybe.
Oh, background.
The Reagan thing
Portrait
got
was
moved out
down.
for portrait was moved for Christmas, but
Yeah.
it'll be back. Over my wife's dead body.
Are you planning this?
No. God forbid anything should happen. This was just a joke, folks. It's not a confession.
Well, you sneak it in the morning, though, when she's...
Yeah, that's what I did the last time, and then she noticed it. Oh, dear.
Well, she came out with the camera, took a picture, so
that's true.
I think she was taking it for evidence.
That's true. So, that was actually the first full show we got in about a month from the house, from before Christmas, because we had that one show I only got 12 minutes of.
This one was almost 45 minutes, wasn't it?
No, this one ran hour and 25.
Hour and 25, okay.
It's a good show.
Yeah. It was a good show. And it wasn't just because you weren't there. It wasn't at all because you weren't there.
He had to mention that.
Yeah, you weren't there. Yeah.
It wasn't because you weren't there.
Well, last Tuesday it was a show we got the most phone calls on down here, which probably because I wasn't here. You had a lot of phone calls.
Yeah.
I heard the buzzer there for a minute ago. That was nothing?
What's that? Oh yeah, there is a buzzer. I guess it is for me. All right. This is WCSS. You're on the air.
Okay, this is Chet. Yes, I was waiting. I'm glad you're taking some phone calls. The President of the United States, I brought this up at the last show. He says that he smoked marijuana as a kid, and he says that smoking marijuana is on the same level as alcohol. Now, I'm not condoning like drinking and driving. If you're an adult and you want to stay home and get drunk every night, that's one thing. And I know alcohol is a problem. But, I mean, they talked about medical marijuana. Out there in Colorado, it's legal. I mean, sooner or later, we got to legalize marijuana throughout the whole 50 states. And I think that's important to think that the President of the United States can make a statement like that. Of course, he can say anything he wants to. He can't run for re-election, so he can say these things.
Well, I think it may have something to do with. I don't fault him for saying that because it has something to do with his loss of brain cells from all that heavy marijuana use he had as a youngster, which is probably ran until about 15 minutes before he made that statement.
Well, the mayor tonight is supposed to give her speech. Now, I listened to Joe Emanuel was on yesterday at 10 o'clock, and he got some good phone calls and things. And I want to know, outside of knocking the buildings down, which the mayor has done a great job at, but goes to show that people can't afford the taxes, so you might as well knock the buildings down. What has she done in 6 years that's been so outstanding? Has any jobs been created in 6 years in the city of Amsterdam? Did anybody come in?
Well, there were a few in City Hall. She created a few in City Hall for her friends.
For her friends. Mm-hmm. So that's about it. Because I'm saying that the election is 2 years down the road, and I want this council, as I said, it's all old news. But we got a problem with the golf course. The mayor's not happy. I think the people are making a right decision. I'm hoping that there'll be a lot of people at the golf course there tonight complaining. I don't golf. So, but complaining, but also these golfers also own homes, and they should also be complaining about user fees and taxes going up over the years. And hopefully, this council, which I think they will make make some tough decisions, because I don't want my user fees going up every year.
Yeah.
So, I think that despite what she says, she's probably going to paint a good rosy picture for the last year and like that. But I don't see that the city has done all that well, really, in the last 6 years or whatever. Not that the other people haven't made mistakes, but it's really bad in this city.
You're not going to get an argument from me here, Chet. Jim, do you have an
no argument. No argument.
No, we're good on that.
Okay.
The only thing I got to say, Chet, is it's not the job of government to create jobs.
That's true.
Right, but Jim, the problem with that, when I watch C-SPAN, you'll hear governors and senators making speeches and they'll say, my constituents say they need jobs. So, not everybody is going to leave New York State. Not everybody's going to leave Montgomery County just to look for work. I expect that
Governor Cuomo just kicked us all out.
Look at lands here and to say, listen, we're going to promote. We got they knocked not only Chalmers, but they knocked the Esquire building down. So there's potential there. They got
turn my mic up so I can talk over him for a minute.
People can come in and have businesses.
Chet, give me a break. Give me a break, Chet.
Okay.
You know,
all right.
Somebody else wants to talk here while you're jabbering and jabbering. We want to make some statements also. It's government's job to make it easier for industry to come and create jobs. It's not to create jobs. If you listen to the governor and you listen to the governor says to move out of state if you don't like the way things are going.
If you're a conservative, if you're right to life, get out.
Yeah.
There's no place for you here.
So and as far as the mayor knocking buildings down, I think the last administration knocked quite a few buildings down. I think they spent $2 million or $200,000. I forget the figure, but it was a substantial amount they spent on tearing buildings down before this mayor took over. So she only continued what happened before that.
You mean? Are you saying, Jim, that the city of Amsterdam did not begin on January 1, 2008?
No, I think it started before that. I think it's
only the problems, though.
Yeah,
only the problems before that.
Well,
the solutions all started on January 1.
Yeah, she inherited all the problems of the last administration.
Well, okay, I don't want to hold you up too much, but I like to say a lot of things in a short period of time.
All right,
thank you very much.
Okay, take care.
All right, bye.
Bye. All right. No picking on the. No, geez, you're getting like me, Jim.
No, I guess I hang around with you too much.
Right. Okay. I don't know. I got in a colloquy with the mayor the other night on Facebook or the other day about the golf course issues, and we kept getting onto the Riverlink Park, and she always didn't want to talk about it. She accused me of changing the subject, and everybody else of changing the subject. Some people she didn't answer at all, though. She did answer me, and it made no sense.
Was that on the radio?
No, it was on. There's a Facebook colloquy on the small city politics Facebook page.
Small city, big heart.
Something like that. Yeah. I don't know. Carl Bay posted an interesting thing on his blog yesterday, an analysis of the mayor's financial state. See the attached financial documents that she has attached to her veto message. Well, you take a look at them, and it is typical Ann Thane, make it up as you go along stuff. Well, according to her plan, by spending some money on advertising, will increase the course revenue by 10% the first year and 20% the second year. Really?
Yeah.
But what is the basis for this startling conclusion? Does nobody know that the Amsterdam golf course exists? It's 75 years old, for crying out loud. Do golfers not know it exists? Never mind the general public. Do golfers not know that the Amsterdam Municipal Golf Course exists?
They're saying they lost 300 members in the last year or two, and that's easy to figure out. A lot of guys are getting older.
Yeah,
a lot of guys are getting older. If you watch the newspaper, there's one or two in the paper that are passing away, and. I stopped playing a couple of years ago because my legs were giving out and I couldn't walk the course, and I couldn't afford to rent a cart, so I stopped playing golf.
There you go.
And the demographics overall in the community have changed, and you've reduced the living population, the clientele of folks who play golf.
Yeah.
Right.
And Mr. Miranda was doing a pretty good job of trying to teach the younger kids how to play golf.
He's got a nice youth program.
Yes, and those are hopefully what the people that'll start playing in the future. But they've got to be able to afford it.
You're right.
I mean, $1,000 a year. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good chunk of money.
There were some. I know there's always been discussions on how best to run the golf course. I don't have the answers for that, but I think you need to try a few things here and there. And one of the things that should have occurred to them is that when you substantially raise the membership fee, you're going to have a drop in membership. Now, that's basic Laffer curve economics. That actions have consequences. You just can't say, okay, we'll double the fees and then we'll double the income. It doesn't happen that way.
No.
On the other hand, there was a certain line of argument that it was important to raise the membership fees precisely to reduce membership. Because that opens up more tea times for people paying the daily rate.
Pay as they go.
And there comes a point where this all balances out. You got to find the balance. So the fact that the membership has gone down may be as much deliberate as it is a consequence of bad economics.
Years when I started playing golf, and I'm not sure what year it was, maybe 15 or 20 years ago, there was a waiting list to get your golf cart in one of the sheds.
Right.
And sometimes it was 2. I think my son waited 3 years to get in the shed. Now you have your choice because
really?
half of the slots are open.
Wow.
So there's a difference in people playing. And I don't know what the solution is. Maybe. The recreation department, maybe they should have some different promotions for the course, and then if you do that, then you're going to tee off, quote, the golfers because you're going to take up their tee times.
Yeah.
I mean, every time they close that course to have a tournament,
the members don't get to play.
They don't get to play, and some of them are really put out about it. So you've got to be careful how you do it. That's all.
All right.
So.
Right. But, there's a fundamental difference between Mayor Thane's thoughts on these issues and mine. Mine is that the golf course was developed as a recreational facility for the people of the city of Amsterdam.
Yes.
Okay, that's its primary purpose. Up until, I think, the Duchesne administration, the golf course never paid for itself. Okay, and somewhere along the line in there, it began paying for itself. They made some adjustments so that it would pay for itself, and it does pay for itself. It's an enterprise fund. In other words, there's nothing coming out of the general fund supporting the golf course anymore. There used to be. Okay, because it's a recreational facility, I think you can justify a certain amount of general fund contribution toward it, the same as you do for the swimming pool and for the ballparks and the baseball teams and everything else. But the fact that it pays for itself should be the end of it. Okay,
it's a wash.
It should not be a cash cow to pay for other pet projects. Okay?
Exactly.
It's not a business, it's a recreational facility for the people. And if you can get more money charging people from outside that helps subsidize the people who live here, all the good. As long as it comes out, we're not paying more.
Exactly.
Okay? So nothing's coming out of the general fund. We should not be sucking money out of it. Look at what we pay for the bus system that nobody uses. I'll bet you a lot more people golf every day than use the bus.
Oh, you better believe it.
And yet we're subsidizing the bus system over $100,000 a year. So, anyway, that's but the mayor wants it as a cash cow so she can build labyrinths. Seriously,
well, somebody's got to pay for those rocks.
God.
No, I don't know.
Now there'll be a Facebook message. All those rocks were donated. People put them in and wrote their names on them. Yeah, okay, fine. Tell me again why when a boat docks at Riverlink Park, they're charged a fee and all the money goes to the guy running the restaurant.
Because he was a smarter negotiator than the mayor's office.
Now, the fact of the matter is, neither the mayor Oh, did the beep go off?
It did. Stop.
Neither the mayor nor anybody else in City Hall know how much money was coming in on those docking fees. Now, we pay for the electrical hookup. We pay for the sewage hookup. We pay for the sewage disposal. We provide the showers and facilities and hot water and all that stuff for these people docking there, and for which they pay a fee. How much was taken in last year? We didn't have the slightest idea before the mayor pushed through the contract with our lame duck council, an extension of the contract. Not a clue. Not a clue. All they said was, okay, you'll have to tell us within so many days after we approve the contract. Okay,
Right.
So now that we have that information, what good is it since the contract just got extended out 3 years? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The city gets nothing in return for that. I asked the mayor, what does the city get for return? Well, if the boat docks and they call up at 2:30 in the morning to ask to have the showers open, the concessionaire has to go down and open it up. Hey, you know what? I'll do that. If I get to keep all the fees, I'd be happy to do that. I'll bring my sleeping bag down there and sleep outdoors. And the boat pulls up, hand me the $1 a foot, and I'll open the shower for you. You know, it's like that old joke about the lady who got the job as a meter maid, and after about 3 weeks, they called her up and said, "You haven't come in to pick up your weekly paycheck." She says, "You mean I get paid too?"
Rita the meter maid? That's who it was?
I don't know. Let's see if these are for us. This is WCSS. You're on the air.
Good morning, Judge.
Hi.
Hey, I started golfing in the mid-'60s
Yep.
down at Amsterdam. And I don't know how old I was. Well, I do know how old I was, but I won't tell you.
You don't have to tell us.
It was enough for a junior membership.
$18 a season.
Oh, was it 18 at one point?
Yes,
I think
it was.
I paid 25
It was 18
when I started.
back in the 60s.
Yeah.
Amazing, isn't it?
Well, you were probably from out of town, right? Were you?
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
So you paid
right. Unlimited golf.
Yep. Absolutely.
How can you beat that? I mean, you had a couple of restrictions where you had to wait to the afternoon on the weekends.
Yeah.
But for a number of years, that's all I paid.
Yeah.
Subject 2. Judge, did you happen to listen to, this is prior to the November elections, did you happen to listen to Sam and Mike's interviews of the numerous candidates for offices in the city and in Montgomery County?
I may have, but if you want to be more specific, I'm sure I didn't hear them all.
Well, no, I didn't either, but I just wanted to know, do you think they were very hard-hitting and very detailed interviews and questions?
All I can say is none of those people ever come on our show.
That was going to be my point to follow. There is nobody in this area that won't go on the show prior to yours because they know they're safe. As a matter of fact, Mr. Tonko was on a few, maybe a couple, 2-3 weeks ago.
A week ago.
And one of the callers asked him a very direct and pointed question. And it was a very short answer he wanted. He didn't want Tonko to go in this litany. He just wanted to know, I think the question was, name one job in this area that you created. And Tonko wouldn't do it. And the caller was persistent. And it was Sam who came to the aid of Paul Tonko. He protected Tonko and cut off the caller saying he was rude, and he wasn't. Sam always says that the voter is the voice, is the boss of the politician. And so if the politician gets elected, the voter, the constituent is the boss. And the boss has a right to ask some questions every now and then.
I remember
and
that
the caller
interview.
just wanted a very short and simple answer, and he couldn't get it, and Sam protected Mr. Tonko. And I don't think the show before yours is doing a very community service job in getting these questions to the politicians. They should be more. They should delve into more serious questions and demand some answers. If the politician, therefore, doesn't want to come back, return to the show, so be it. But the politician, this show, if you're going to say you're doing a community service, should demand some answers for the community, and that's why I like your show.
And that's why we have no politicians on.
Yeah, nobody wants to be on your show because they know they're going to be stuttering and babbling. There's no answers to some of the questions you're going to ask.
Well, there's answers. I just don't want to tell you what they are.
Yeah.
I just wish who's ever running that station down there would be a little bit, more demanding of the guests when they have them on the show. And the show, there was a show last week, I think Wednesday or Thursday. It's the guy that talks real loud and he never shuts up.
Curtis.
Yeah, he had a guest on, and the guest was even shut down.
Yeah.
The question, it was like about a 5-minute question for a 15-second answer, and it kept going that way. It's to the point where I don't even bother anymore. Why listen? You guys are doing a good job, though. Keep it up. Thanks for the show.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
I had to guess.
I was going to cut him off for picking on Sam, but then I thought I'd be just like Sam.
I guest hosted a show a couple of weeks ago, and Senator Kachik called in.
Oh, she didn't know who you were, huh?
And I asked a question. She couldn't answer it. She hemmed and hawed, and she tried to evade the question, and then she came up with an answer that was completely false. So,
yeah.
But it was too close to the end of the show that to really put her on the spot. But that's what happens. You call the show. Expect the questions.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, as long as they're to the point, as long as they're not derogatory.
Yeah. I agree with that format. Look, if you're holding public office and you have positions, now that's a good example because she's taken some unpopular positions, like on the SAFE Act and
that's the question.
Late term abortion and stuff like that. Well, okay, if she feels that way, let her defend those positions to people who disagree with her. Let her defend them. Yeah. Don't just ignore the fact that she holds the positions. Make her defend the positions. If she believes in it, she should have a defense.
Exactly.
Huh? No. Well. So I alluded earlier to Governor Cuomo's interview the other day, where he's off his rocker. I think he really is a strange bird. Anyway, he's talking about how people holding extreme positions don't belong in New York, like us. Well, look, this is a guy who believes that we should encourage more late-term abortions in New York. He keeps introducing these "let's have more abortion in New York" acts, as if we're already the abortion capital of the world, but it's not enough for him. This is a guy who believes it's okay to take a baby about to be born, pull it by the legs out of the birth canal far enough so that you can stick in some scissors into the brain and kill the baby in the womb, and then that's perfectly okay. But it's an extreme position to say you shouldn't do that. And he basically said there's no place in New York for people who hold those extreme positions.
Well, it's a definition of a liberal. You can believe anything you want as long as you agree with me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. Wow.
Is that for us?
No, it doesn't say. Nobody's been beeping. So, I don't know. Anyway, so there's no place for conservatives. There's no place for right-to-lifers. And now he's outraged that people are getting that interpretation. He says, he didn't mean right-to-life people or conservative people. He meant people running for public office. It's okay to hold those positions as long as none of them are elected. So it's only the people who want office who hold those positions he wants run out of the state.
As long as you agree with me.
I don't care who's running against him this year. I don't care. They're getting my vote. That's the way I feel.
He's trying to set himself up for a bigger run coming up. And I think he feels he's got to go a little further to the one side to attract enough to get himself elected.
Wow. Oh well, today is. By the way, this is WCS. This is the third. By the way, this is WCSS 1490 in Amsterdam, New York, and you're listening to the show with no name. I'm Bob Going with Jim Nikosha and Gavin Murdoch. 1 year ago today, January 21, 2013. President Obama was inaugurated for his second term. It was a Monday, and the wife and I went out to lunch, so we didn't have to watch it. And unfortunately, we came back and find
You're still talking.
No, we found the ambulance, the fire department, and the police department at our house, and that was the day Uncle Sy died.
It's been a year.
It's been a year today. Wow. Been a year today. Uncle Sy Foltman lived with us for 6 years, up to his death at the age of 90 a year ago, and never wanted to bother. Never wanted to be a bother, and so he died without bothering us because we weren't there. It's like the only time we had gone out to lunch in ages, months probably, up to that point.
Wow, a year.
It's been a year. He's a good guy. Wow. Good guy. I was thinking of him yesterday because I went to Ziggy Purek's funeral at St. Stanislaus Church. First, a couple more by the ways. We got technology going on behind us. Anyway, some kind of important technological meeting going on in
the background.
In the background. Anyway, St. Stanislaus Church has a lovely custom of they've got a group of people who attend all the funerals. I don't know whether it's a club or what it is, but it's organized, and it doesn't matter how old, how forgotten you are. There's always people from the parish who will be there assisting at the funeral, and it's a very lovely custom. I've called them in the past, somewhat facetiously, the Pawnee Patrol, but I think that's a good phrase because when
we went to St. Mary's, this is before you showed up. When we were in second grade, occasionally, a couple of us would get sent over to St. Mary's for a funeral. Yeah. For people we had no idea who they were, because sister knew that they had no families. Wow. And I can remember going over 3 different times in second grade to do that. Such a great
not to be an altar boy.
Just to go over and attend the funeral.
Yeah. It's a lovely custom, and there was no shortage of people for Ziggy's funeral yesterday. But the guy was 96 years old, and after a while,
his contemporaries are gone.
Your contemporaries have been gone for a long time. In his case, what a great guy. We talked about him on the podcast Friday, but just a terrific guy. And he was in the Navy in World War II and took part in the Philippine liberation, as did Uncle Sy. And those guys are dropping off at a very rapid rate now. The ones that are left. I'm old enough, at all of 62. I'm old enough to remember when the last 2 Union Civil War soldiers died. In the late 1950s. I mean, it's hard to believe, but they lived into the late 1950s. And then, after that, the Spanish-American War, the last Spanish-American War veteran locally was Chief Schwartz's uncle. I forget what his name was. It was Schwartz, but I can't remember. There were 2 brothers in the Spanish-American War, and one was the last veteran, and the other one lied about his age, went into the service at the age of 15, gets shot in Cuba in the head, goes into a coma.
Huh? You almost said go into a Cuomo, didn't you?
Yeah, I almost went into a Cuomo. He went into a coma in 1898 and died in 1965.
Wow. Jeez.
Yeah. And then his brother was the last. And then the last World War I veteran in the United States died just a couple of years ago, 3 years ago. You know.
Yeah.
And now they're we're down to 5% or less of the World War II generation. Anyway, I guess we'll take these. This is WCSS. You're on the air. Hello. Nope. This is WCSS. You're on the air.
Nope. 0 for 2.
0 for 2. No explanation. Okay. All right. If you guys will indulge me for a couple of minutes, 3, 4, 5 minutes, I'd like to read the eulogy that I did for Uncle Sy at his funeral. You were there.
Yeah.
Were you there?
No.
Okay. It was, again, he was 90 years old. There weren't a whole lot of people there. Fortunately, we had the Stonehouse Piper.
Yeah, Misha was there.
Misha did a great job. Great job. So anyway, this is going to be a little hard for me to get through. Just remember this was given a year ago, so when there's references to years and dates in there, just, add a year. On his 89th birthday, just over a year ago, after the cake and ice cream had been put away, I asked Uncle Sy if he had a favorite year in his 9 decades. He thought for a moment, and then that marvelous smile came over his face. I think it was the year I was CPO, he said. He'd been in the Navy a year when assigned to his first and only ship, the USS Marcus Island, a brand new escort carrier, in January of 1944. These small carriers were nothing more than Liberty ships with a flight deck, carrying virtually no armor plate and but a handful of anti-aircraft guns. They were designed to provide close air support for amphibious troops, and the Marcus Island participated in 4 distinct battles at Peleliu, Leyte Gulf, Mindoro, and Okinawa. Sy was in charge of part of the flight deck crew, seeing the planes got off safely and returned safely. The pilots were no older than he was. On the 25th of October, 1944, while providing coverage for the landings on Leyte, the better part of the Japanese Imperial Navy suddenly approached them from the northwest. Due to a communication mix-up, there was no advance warning, and Admiral Halsey had taken all our heavy ships north to chase a part of the Japanese fleet that had been deliberately set up as a decoy. The Navy groups known as Taffy 1, 2, and 3 were hopelessly outpowered. The Japanese approached with battleships, heavy and light cruisers, and destroyers, while the American 7th Fleet had only destroyers, destroyer escorts, and carrier escorts, all lightly armored or not armored at all. When a much faster enemy cruiser approached on the horizon and began lobbing shells from its big guns that splashed all around them, the men of the Marcus Island, flagship of Taffy 2, knew they were in trouble. They were sitting ducks and would have been wiped out along with the rest of the landing forces but for the indomitable courage of the men who fought the Battle of Leyte Gulf. From before sunup to sundown, Uncle Sy helped launch wave after wave of light planes, fighters, and dive bombers mostly, some armed only with machine guns. It would be many years before he learned what feats he did that day, but the end result was that the courageous attacks convinced the Japanese admiral that he faced a much larger force and withdrew. It was one of the greatest moments in America's storied naval history. Several weeks later, back in the Philippines, the Marcus Island came under attack from Japanese bombers and kamikaze planes. All were shot down by her anti-aircraft guns and fighter pilots, but 2 landed close enough to cause damage to the ship, 1 on each side, and several injuries to the crew. "Weren't you scared, Uncle Sy?" asked one of our kids when he told that story. "We were 21, 22 years old. We didn't know enough to be scared." Again at Okinawa, the continuous stream of flights going in and out from the 26th of March to the 29th of April, 1945, always on the lookout for more kamikazes. From then on, the Marcus Island began a new mission of shuttling aircraft and replacement troops from the west coast as they prepared for the major invasion of the Japanese home islands. They were at sea when the atom bomb dropped and arrived most happily at Alameda, California on VJ Day. Amsterdam had a huge parade to welcome home our veterans, but Sy wasn't in it. His ship sailed through the Panama Canal to the East Coast, but he wasn't on it. Most of the crew had to find their way across country by train to new stations on the Atlantic. His train took him past Amsterdam without stopping. Finally, in February of 1946, he received his discharge from Lido Beach, made it into New York, and took the first train home from Grand Central Station. He didn't tell anyone he was coming, just got off the train, threw his sea bag over his shoulder, and walked up the long hill to Vanderveer Street, kissed his mother, threw the bag in a corner, and got on with the rest of his life. He was now 23 years old, and he decided he wanted to go to college, which isn't as easy as it sounds, because he had taken vocational training with an emphasis on textile production leading up to his general diploma in the class of 1940. So in the spring of 1946, he went back to high school, cramming as much learning as he could as fast as he could, then went off to Brown University and later took a master's degree at Syracuse. And while doing that, he became Uncle Sy to several generations of Foltman descendants. Mary tells me that one of her earliest memories of Sy was watching him from a distance at the old homestead while he worked on a crossword puzzle. Every once in a while, he would stop and check the dictionary. Fascinated, she summoned up the courage to ask him what he was doing, and so he sat her down and explained to her how a dictionary worked. That was Sy. Though one of the few of the 11 Foltman children who didn't become a teacher in the formal sense, he never passed up an opportunity to teach, and in his retirement years actively volunteered with the Montgomery County Literacy Program, tutoring various subjects to those preparing for the GED exam. I suspect he was, at heart, a Franciscan. Though never taking a formal vow of poverty, he lived as frugally as anyone I have ever known. When he finally came to live with us, his entire lifetime accumulation of worldly goods wouldn't fill the trunk of a small car, including his clothes. I'm not sure whether he ever owned a tie. I know he had to borrow one of mine for today's formal occasion. His best pair of shoes came from a store that had been closed for 40 years. His only indulgence was buying a new car every couple of years, which carried with it the joy he received in giving the old one away to whichever niece or nephew was next in line. We never had much trouble finding him, even though he was rarely home. Most mornings he would hang out for a while at one of the car dealerships and indulge in their free coffee. By mid-morning, he'd usually be at the old PNC parking lot on Church Street reading his morning papers. If he wasn't making a mail run to Speculator with his friend who held the contract from the post office, he'd be at the library from 10 to 1 or so, carefully reading the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. After that, in season, he'd be up at the golf course for the afternoon, always parked at the same spot. It was a simple life, and he always seemed like he enjoyed every minute of it. Blessings are awfully nice things, and they come in many forms. How wonderful it is when people wish you good health, prosperity, nice children, long life, etc. The Bible is full of blessings like that. Some people have a special flair for it, like the Irish, who have made blessings something of an art form. May you be in heaven a half an hour before the devil knows you're dead. And may those who love us, and those who hate us, may God turn their hearts. And if he can't turn their hearts, may he turn their ankles so we may know them by their limping. Well, you get the idea. I like the Polish blessing in Stolat. May you live 100 years, as one of Sy's sisters did. Imagine then, if someone came up to you and said, may an old man come and live with you. May he never be able to perform any normal physical function without assistance. May he be someone who can't hold a fork without dropping it. May he have short-term memory loss so that he cannot recall anything you say from 1 minute to the next. May he require 24-hour care the whole year round, and may you have to schedule your entire life around his needs. May you pick him up off the floor from time to time, and may he have serious back and neck surgery and occasional hospitalizations from pneumonia. What kind of blessing is that? The greatest blessing of all, if the old man is Sy Foltman. For there hasn't been a moment in the last 6 years that Sy didn't bring pure joy into our lives. In all that time, he only ever had one complaint, and that was 5 years ago when one of the substitute healthcare workers made a cup of coffee he didn't like. She never came back. He's been just so appreciative of everything. Every dinner he would say, "Holy mackerel, a feast fit for a king." When Mary would say, "How are you?" he'd reply, "Good, now that you're here." Though his memory was not so hot, his ability to reason and discuss things never really left him. It's just that he'd completely forget the conversation shortly after. I'd begin each day for the first couple of years explaining to him where he was and how he got there, and reminding him of where he used to live and about the back surgery and why he couldn't walk as well as he used to and how long he'd been with us. I put him to bed every night, and he was always cheerful, always perfectly comfortable, always looking forward to more adventures in the morning. On weekends, it was my job to get him up in the morning, and among other things, we'd do a thorough foot washing. Sy was as handsome a man as you'd ever want to see, with that Gary Cooper gait and the blue eyes and the smile, but his feet were not his best feature. Still, as I bent over his most ticklish extremities, I was continually reminded of something Blessed Mother Teresa of Calcutta used to say, that when she washed a beggar's feet, it was like washing the feet of Christ. I always thought that was just a suffering saint talking, but you know, it's true. It was, strange as it seems, a most wonderful blessing. There were sad times too, of course. The worst was probably when I had to tell him that his brother Barney had died. Barney would call without fail once a month, and they'd chat away. His face was so sad when I told him about Barney that once he forgot, I never mentioned it again. And he lost Dennis and Marion and his nephew Joe Wasilewski, who dropped in one day and spent a delightful hour with him, bringing video greetings from Sy to play for his 100-year-old mother. There has never been a sweeter, kinder, gentler, or more generous man to walk the face of the earth than Sy Foltman. For our children, Uncle Sy has always been around. For our granddaughter Laura, he has been a constant. She'd climb up on his lap, read him stories, get him to play dolls with her. Chip the Wonder Dog has been wandering around the house aimlessly since Monday looking for his friend. The morning he died, I said hello to him at the breakfast table. "Having a good day, Uncle Sy?" Big smile. "Having a good day." That was every day. I think Anna said it all best in a post on Facebook the other day. Our sweet Uncle Sy finished his 90-year journey on this earth yesterday. It was a complete joy having him with us for the last 6 years. He complimented everyone, never complained, was appreciative of everything in life, and most of the time he didn't even care that he was a Yankee forced to live in a Red Sox house. He was the quietest member of this crazy family, but without him, our home feels completely empty. He was a blessing to all of us, and he is sorely missed. Or maybe General Patton said it best. It is foolish and wrong to mourn the men who died. Rather, we should thank God that such men lived. Sylvester Foltman, January 21, 2013, 1 year ago today. Okay, I guess we got a call. We'll see what it's about. This is WCSS. You're on the air. Hello. Hello. Guess I give up. People are impatient. Call back. They're impatient.
We're here.
How long did that take? Oh, much longer than I thought.
Yeah, that was a while.
Wow, was it that long in church? Jeepers. No wonder they were booing at the end.
No, nobody booed at that one.
No, that was great. That was really great. Yeah.
Just a terrific guy.
Just shows you how much you have to appreciate what you got when you got it. Because you can't get it back when it's gone.
Yep. This is a guy, he was something of an athlete all his life. He was, he golfed continuously, and he was a skier before that. He was got pictures of him flying down Gore Mountain someplace. But he marched to his own drummer his entire life. Almost got married once.
Almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a call back.
It's WCSS. You're on the air.
Good morning, Bob.
Hi.
Mike McKenney.
I know who you are.
That was a beautiful eulogy I just heard on the radio, and I just want to say two things. First, I knew Uncle Sy
yes, you did.
From going to the library, very unassuming, unpretentious, and very quietly, with the assistance of people getting him off the elevator, just getting his Wall Street Journal, sitting at the table, and just studying as if he were cramming for the bar exam.
Well, he was. He paid close attention to his stocks on a daily basis. and Mike, I particularly remember your after he came to live with us, your coming up to the house and bringing him the Wall Street Journal so he could read it at home, and that was a very kind and wonderful thing to do, and we really appreciate it.
I only wish I could have done it every day. Yeah. He was a great man, and America's filled with many great people who pass away quietly without anybody or very few people knowing just how great they were.
Yeah.
And it's always, I think it is a tradition of the Irish to
cast blessings.
Have just the flair for the cute and appropriate sermon, not sermons. You said it. I can't remember. You said it best when you were talking.
Blessings.
Blessing. That's it. And in that regard, I want to make a quick mention of a sad note, and then I'm going to hang up. As you know, I'm a member of the Bishop Scully High School class of 1972.
Yes.
And I don't know how many of my classmates are listening right now, but I just want my classmates to know that a great member of our class has passed away, and his service is his wake is tonight at Jack from 5 to 7. His name was Bob Switlicki, and he was just a great guy. And I hope that my classmates will pay their respects tonight.
He was also he was a brother of one of my classmates, Linda Switlicki. Yes.
Pardon?
He was a brother of one of my classmates. His sister Linda was in my class.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know he has a sister Linda, but I'd never met her. So
nice.
Anyway, I do believe in paying respects to those who have passed on.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bob. Okay. Bye, Gavin and Jim.
Take care.
Bye.
Good call.
Bye, Michael.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to mention that. I didn't want to do too many eulogies in a row. Yeah, you talked about how unassuming Sy was. You may recall, I don't know, about 20 years ago or so, kind of out of the blue, Kirk Douglas donated $1,000 to the Amsterdam Library, and it was in made all the papers, and Kirk Douglas gives $1,000. Sy heard about that, and he immediately writes out a check for $2,000 and hands it quietly over the counter.
It wasn't going to be outdone by Kirk Douglas.
It wasn't going to be outdone by Kirk Douglas. But there was never anything in the paper, and actually I don't think any public mention of it until just now.
There you go.
Generous guy.
Not all good deeds are recognized.
Well, he didn't want them recognized, He
well, they're not meant to be recognized. It's meant to be done graciously and for the benefit of somebody.
What did the Lord say? Never let your right hand know what your left hand is doing when giving alms. Right? Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, he was, he never spent money on anything except his cars. So he had
every time.
I remember when he got his Social Security check. He said, "What am I going to do with this?" He says, "Is there anybody I can give this to that wants it?" Never. If you wanted anything from me, just ask. That's just ask. Uncle Sy, I need $6,000. There it is. Jeez. So, just a great guy.
Yeah,
great guy.
It's the way life should be. It's the way life should be.
Yeah,
filled with great people.
Help each other.
And it was, it was no trouble. I mean, it looked, from outside looking in, it looks like, geez, it was a lot of trouble for us to take care of him. It was no trouble at all. It was just such a pleasure to have him, and he, it was so good for him after living alone all those years to, finally spend his last years with his family. And Laura just adored him. She was born right after he came to live with us, and
so she always knew him.
She always knew him, and as I said in the eulogy, she'd climb up on his lap and she'd play with him all day long. Sometimes he'd forget what her name was, but he'd refer to her as a little girl. It was a little girl and that big dog. Oh, jeepers. What else is going on? That's a common council meeting tonight. Now, did somebody say she's giving her State of the City address tonight?
That's what she said, I think.
Yeah.
Probably prior to the meeting. I would think.
Well, let's see. I'm trying to. Let's see. I'm trying to trying to load the theme song here, and it seems our browser is out of date. Heck with it. We'll just sing it again. This is a show with no name. What possessed you, Gavin, to suggest that we have lyrics to the theme song?
Well, there must be. No song is written without lyrics, so the good, the bad, the ugly must have some words to it. I don't know what they might be, but
you mean like the Superman theme must have the movie theme must have lyrics. Superman, da 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 da.
Well, yeah. Well, the mind works in mysterious ways.
I think you were delirious from all that medication, Doc Diamond. Anyway, I guess this will about do it for the show with no name this week. I'm Bob Going with Jim Nikosha and Gavin Murdoch. We'll be back with a podcast on Friday, and this show will be up a little bit, probably this evening sometime, on Facebook and YouTube, and actually, even though I'm giving up the TSWNN site, there is a Facebook page for the show with no name, so I'm going to start running these on that as well. And we'll be probably back next Tuesday.
Absolutely.
Which will be the 28th of January, which will be Bruce Conover's birthday.
That's right. My birthday as well. And it'll be the anniversary of the podcast.
That's right.
Here we go.
The third anniversary of the podcast.
That's right. Third or fourth? I don't know. I'm losing track.
Time's fun. You're having flies.
Okay. And this is WCSS 1490 on your dial in Amsterdam, New York.
Throwing.
Helen here inside. Yeah.
President of the United States, the Department of the Navy, myself personally, and a very, very grateful nation. I present this flag in honor of your uncle's service to this nation. So sorry.